Hi, I'm Andrea. Welcome to this 30-minute yoga practice. I'm so glad you've joined me. Today we have my dog Tippy in the room. I don't believe you guys have yet met her. You may not even know she's here. She might sleep through the whole thing. She might make a guest appearance. That's what happens when we're live. You'll notice that I'm standing on a yoga mat. If you don't have one, it's fine. Find a carpeted place in your room or something that's not too slippery. That'll do just fine. I'm barefoot, but if you prefer shoes, all good. A couple of blocks would be nice. If you've got some sturdy books, that might do the trick. And then a folded blanket, maybe a thick bath towel or beach towel. We will be probably using the chair for some things, potentially. You're going to do this practice your way. That's one thing as you start to do yoga more frequently that you begin to realize that an advanced practice means you know what to do for you. It doesn't mean that you try to do what you think is advanced. It's knowing ourselves the best. Believing, as I often say, that you are the expert of your own body, and I'm here merely as a guide. And once you have the things that you need for your practice, let's start facing the long edge of your mat with your feet hip distance apart in our Tadasana mountain pose, our bedrock of all poses. And land. Land in your stance. Land in the mindset of, I am going to celebrate doing things my way and not feel like there's fault in being exactly who I am. Play a little bit with balance. Rock a forward and back and side to side dance into your mountain for a moment. And then settle into stillness, but notice that there is a little bit of that subtle movement even when we're still. Turn your palms away from one another. Let that lift your heart, like it's lifting your heart into the understanding of celebrating who you are. And then lean your head back a bit so our stance is ears over shoulders, over hips, over heels. Your breath comes in and out through your nose, if that's at all possible to do. Rich, complete inhales, maybe a little pause at the top. Complete, grounding exhales. Possibly a little beat when you're empty at the bottom. Your breath dances with the little balance dance that we found earlier. And there's a soft gaze, or if you're comfortable closing your eyes and just getting that view of the inner landscape, you can do that for a moment. 3 breaths here. I'm going to move my mat a little bit for this next part, but just keep your mat facing me so that you don't have to turn your head a lot to see what I'm up to. With my mat a bit more sideways, I think you can see the next part more easily. Feet hip distance, inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, a V shape, and then just exhale and settle your arms along your sides. We'll do that again. Inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Exhale, settle the arms along your side. Inhale, arms out and up, we're adding on. Exhale, hinge at your hips, bring your hands to your thighs. Traction, your hands to your thighs and lengthen through your spine. Let that be an inhale. Exhale, a little deeper hinge at the hips. And then inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, V shape. And stand into the majesty of your mountain. Once more like that. Inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and bring your hands onto your thighs. Inhale, extend your heart forward. Exhale, deepen the hinge. And then inhale, arms out and up like a celebration. Settle your arms along your side with the palms turned out. Take your arms wide out to the side as a measuring stick and then step your legs out so that your wide stance is basically ankles underneath wrists. Bring your hands onto your hips. And then from deep in your right hip socket, turn your right leg so that your right foot is facing the short edge of your mat. We'll try it on for size first. So when you bend your front knee, if your knee is ahead of your ankle like mine is, we just need a little bit more space. Your spacing is going to be a little bit different. Your back heel shifts back at a 45-degree angle, and this back leg feels like it's still standing in our mountain. Bend your front knee one more time, trying it on for size. And with your hands on your hips, you're not trying to turn your hips to face that long edge of your mat. There's a little bit of a diagonal, and that's healthy for our lower backs. That's a good thing. I'm going to give you alignment points, but remember, you're the expert, I'm the guide. Right hip is hugging underneath you. For the time being, we've got our hands on our hips together. And then straighten your front leg and pause for a moment. So that was our little test drive. We're growing it from the ground up. Adding on, bend your front knee. Keep your hands on your hips for a moment. Thumbs to the sky, arms out to the side. Let yourself feel expansive. Same pose feels a little bit different when we do a different option with our arms, which is something to take note of in a moment when I give you even more options for you to use your expertise around. Straighten your front leg, lower the arms alongside you for a moment. And this is where it gets really juicy with options. Ready? Bend your front knee, warrior two. Always a nice thing to check and make sure that right foot's facing the short edge of your mat. Right forearm across your thigh. Thumb of your left arm stays to the sky. Now see if you can convince, very gently, your right thigh bone to the right a little bit and tuck your right hip underneath you so we don't come into a forward fold here. We're letting that right hip open up a little bit. Come back up to warrior two and then straighten your front leg and lower the arms for a moment. That's option one. Arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, bend your front knee, forearm across the thigh. Maybe some of us, once we stick our landing here again, take the top arm even higher to the sky. If that feels like it's scrunching your shoulder into your ear, I would say keep it out to the side. But you're the expert, right? Firm through your feet and your belly, come up to warrior two, and then straighten the front leg and lower your arms. That's option number two. One more option, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, bend your right knee, warrior two, and then what's called side angle, forearm across the thigh. You can stay here with your arm out to the side. You can take your arm up to the ceiling, or here's our third option. Turn your palm away from you, wrap that top arm gently behind your back. And then you're just letting, regardless of which option you're in, your chest turn to the sky, and we're breathing deeply. So this is where it's kind of exciting that you get to do it your way. You have three different options to play with. But what we have in common is that we're creating some space between the shoulders and the ears. If you need to come out of it, you know how to come out of it like we did before. You can just go to warrior two and then straighten that front leg. 2 more moments here, unless you're already on your way out. Remember, you're the expert. That would be a sign of you using your expertise, I think. Now, come upright into warrior two, thumbs to the sky, and straighten your front leg. Turn all of your toes to face the long edge of your mat. Stay this wide. Inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, V shape overhead. Exhale, hands to the tops of your thighs, bend to your knees, a hip hinge. Our head is not going any lower than our hips. In fact, inhale and grow even longer and taller through your spine as you're here. Pause for just a moment. It's a bit of a counter pose, a little detour between sides of our side angle. Now firm through your feet and your belly and come upright. Turn your left leg out so that your left foot is facing the short edge of your mat. Cheat your back heel at that 45-degree angle. Hands on your hips, bend your front knee, and just check and make sure that the spacing is still true to form, that your left knee and left ankle are on the same line, and then straighten your front leg and pause for a moment. So that's actually even an option, really. Bend the front knee. Hands stay on your hips for now. We have that idea of right hip slightly forward, so we're at a diagonal, and then arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. We're in our warrior two option. Slowly straighten the front leg and drift your arms alongside you or hands to hips if you prefer. You're doing it your way. Bend the front knee, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Your left forearm comes onto your left thigh, right thumb to the sky. You're kind of interested in convincing your left thigh bone to the left, and that left hip is hugging underneath you. Your back leg feels to be standing in mountain pose. There's so much space between your shoulders and your ears. This is option one. We'll go back to warrior two, and then straighten the front leg and pause for a moment. Really good. Option two, second side. Ready? Bend your front knee, warrior two. Form across the thigh. Either the arm stays out to the side or you start to drift it to the sky, but we make sure that spaciousness is true on both shoulders, and especially if you're starting to feel like you're shrugging your top shoulder into your ear, might be better to go with option one. 2 more moments here. And then just come through warrior two, thumbs to the sky. Slowly straighten the front leg. Drift your arms along your side. Final option, last visit to side angle. Bend your front knee, warrior two, thumbs to the sky. Form across the thigh. Option one. Option two, the arm drifts up. Option three, turn your palm away from you and weave that top arm behind your back. And then all of us will luxuriate in some sensations that might be getting a little stronger because we've visited a few times. Rotate your bottom ribs towards the sky. Take a few breaths. Really great. Slow motion with your belly firm. Warrior two, thumbs to the sky, and then straighten your front leg. Turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat and heel toe, until we're standing in our mountain. There are a few options for triangle pose. Either take your blocks, turn them their tallest, and put them, as I've positioned mine, back behind you, so we'll be in front of them on your mat. Or take your chair and put it right in the middle of your mat so that your hand can be on your chair for triangle. Another option is to come to the wall, to turn your right foot towards the wall, cheat your back heel, take your arms out to the side, lean onto the wall, have a little soft bend in the front knee, and do your triangle against the wall. So you get to decide. We'll all do triangle together, and not one of us will do it exactly the same way. I think that's kind of exciting. So if you're at the wall, you'll just step your feet. You can sort of position it so that it's like our warrior two stance. We'll do that in the middle of our mat if you're not at the wall. So ankles underneath wrists, hands to hips, turn your right leg out, cheat your back heel back. It's a hinge at the hip, whether you're at the wall or using your chair or using your block. So lengthen out, hinging at your right hip, and then take your hand either to a block that's tall on the outside of your right foot, or to the base of your chair that's next to your mat, or you're just leaning against the wall and your hand doesn't need to touch really anything because you have the positioning or the support of the wall. And then see if you can thumb to the sky of the top arm, lengthen the bottom ribs, and rotate your chest a little bit towards the sky without struggle anywhere. So good. Last couple of moments here. Firm through your feet and your belly, and no matter where you are in the room, come all the way upright. Be careful if you've got a block that it's not going to get in your way, so you can move that off to the side, turn all toes forward, and then second side. Turn your left leg out, cheat your back heel at a 45-degree angle, thumbs to the sky. A micro bend in that front leg is a good idea. Lengthen with your hinge at your hip, like there's somebody over there that you want to tickle. And then take your hand to your block on the outside of your left foot. Maybe you're sliding down your wall or your left hand is on the base of your chair. Imagine that you're spinning your inner upper arms away from one another to create even more space between the shoulders and the ears. And then let it be a celebration of you doing this your way. And guess what? Every day is a different day. So you could decide to do it differently next time, and that would still be your way. 2 more moments. Firm through your feet and your belly. Come all the way upright. Turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat, and then gently heel toe, heel toe. And all of us are standing in our mountain again, no matter where we've journeyed off to in the meantime. Making our way to the floor means making sure our space is clear. I'm going to keep my mat at this angle because I think you'll be able to see me best this way. Still keep your mat facing me. A few prop moves so our blocks are not in our way. And then lastly, I think, so as you come to the floor, you can use the base of your chair, you can use your blocks to help. But I think you might want your folded blanket here for underneath your knee. We're doing a pose that looks a little bit like our triangle pose, except we're kneeling. So since your knees are going to be on the ground, they may be sensitive. Now, once we line up, you will take your right hand. So let me turn this way so it's easier for you to follow. You're going to take your right hand, your right knee, and your left foot, all as if a middle line, like a triangle, and then take your left hand onto your hip. I like to curl my right toes under, and then remember in our side angle pose how we were hugging our hip underneath us. Try that here. It becomes a little bit of an anchor for the pose. This is option 1. Option 2, take your left hand, thumb to the sky, arm reaches skyward, pause. If it's tricky to balance, you can look down at the ground, and hopefully my verbal cues are clear enough that you don't have to watch me, because looking down at the ground will make the balance part easier. If you're able to look at me and do this, then great, that's your way. Last option, not for everyone, not important if you don't do it. Perhaps you start to play with lifting your left leg. And now that gazing down cue that I gave you about balance is probably going to be helpful. And so is hugging that right hip underneath you. And now can you breathe? You're allowed to put your foot back down on the ground anytime. Let's see if we can stay here for 3 more moments. Try to zipper together your bottom ribs and your hip point so it doesn't turn into a floppy back bend. And then really find the anchor of your right hip hugging underneath you. 3 options for what you're up to. The non-negotiable is that we're all breathing. So we're going to look different doing the pose, but we're breathing together. Now, slowly, if you lifted it, put your left foot onto the ground, bring your left hand onto your hip. Child's pose, sit back onto your heels. I think it's kind of nice to have the blanket underneath your knees. And then you can take a moment to bring yourself back, and also maybe to move your hands and release your wrists a little bit. So forehead on your mat, on the ground, on a block. 2 more moments here. Then come to hands and knees, second side of our side plank. Easy for me to say, huh? Now, left hand, left knee, right foot, and then right hand comes onto your hip. You may want to curl the left toes under, and then just start to push the ground away, so we don't want to collapse into that bottom shoulder. That's why this might be the perfect option, because there's actually quite a bit going on. Hug the left hip underneath you. Like I said on the first side, I like to curl my bottom toes under. It just gives me a little less pressure on my knee and a little bit more control of things. Pushing the ground away with your left hand. Option to take the right arm to the sky if you want to. Thumb to the sky. This is plenty. You breathing? It's important. Maybe lift your right leg. Sort of like a karate kick. Means that the balance is going to be a little bit more challenging, so you might want to look down. If you wobble out of it, the wobble is the win. You just climb back up again and celebrate your way, maybe in a different way. 2 more moments here. Now put the foot down if you lifted it. Bring your right hand back onto your hip. And then look down and unwind. And this time we make our way into a few different options for a hip opener. So I'm going to give you 3 different ways, and then you get to decide which one is yours. The first one is seated with your right ankle on top of your left thigh, and you want to sit up tall. So if this is crumbling, I would say that this is not quite the option. You want to make sure that you're really flexing that right foot a ton. If this is crumbling, maybe lie down and do it as a reclining pigeon. So ankle on top of knee as you lie down, and you could actually put your blanket underneath your head if you want to. Some people will thread the needle with their right hand through the space and either hold the hamstring of your left foot or interlace around the shin. Lastly, if neither of those work for you, extend your legs out in front of you, probably seated on your perch is a good idea, and then put your right foot like a tree pose into your left inner thigh, and you might put one of your blocks underneath the right thigh bone. So 3 different options. You get to decide, and then settle into it. Settle into your expertise and do it your way. Once you're settled, maybe close your eyes. And at this stage of the game, we can let the exhales become a little bit longer than the inhales. The relaxation side of our nervous system. We're going to be silent for a full minute of meditation here in your unique shape, starting right now. You're halfway there. Really great. Now start to make your way gently out of that side. Might be nice to just give both legs a little waggle out in front. If you're lying on your back, you can just let the legs extend out almost like a Shavasana meditation for a moment if you don't feel like getting all the way back up again. Once you're lying down, it's kind of nice to stay there. And then second side, this is where it's exciting. Now you know the options and you choose the option that served you on the first side for your second side. And here's the thing. Even when there's a practice where I'm not saying different options, you always have these options. So no matter what class you're taking, if one of these feels particularly great to you, then know that you can do it. So if there's a hip opener time in a class and the hip opener that the teacher, including me, is suggesting doesn't really feel great for you, know that you can do these, any of these. And once you've found your option, a minute of silence, you could close your eyes if you'd like, starting now. a full minute. Really well done. Gently start to make your way back. If you're lying on the ground, we're going to be joining you on the ground so you can stay where you are. The rest of us, maybe that little waggle. Make sure that you're careful with props because we are going to lie down and you don't want to be bumping into them. That includes your folded blanket. So you can put that off to the side as well. And then lie down on your back. Bend your knees and let your feet be as wide as your mat and cactus your arms out to the side. Imagine that we have become human windshield wipers, and just gently, a little scooch of your hips to the left and your knees spill over to the right. Your feet stay as wide as your mat. This is plenty. Some of you might pick up your right foot and cross your right ankle on top of your left knee, which looks a lot like two of the options you might have explored in our hip opener, the seated version and the reclining pigeon. Stay for a moment here. And then come to center. Give the gentlest little scooch of your hips to the right as your knees spill over to the left. Options continue. So you could pick up your left foot and put that across your right thigh if it feels good. And if it doesn't, you're the expert. And if you had crossed the ankle onto the thigh, gently place your left foot on the ground and then come to the middle and make sure that you no longer have a scooch in your hips. Let your knees fall in on one another. Extend the arms alongside you and just snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you. This constructive rest pose might be where you stay for our final Shavasana meditation, or you could extend one leg and then the other straight. Feet flop open. This is where we rest and digest, where we allow the practice to settle into every cell and every corner. You're welcome to stay here in your final Shavasana meditation as long as you'd like. If you're ready to start to find your way back, gently move your fingers and toes. Maybe add a stretch of arms and legs in opposite directions. Bend your knees and place your feet on your mat. Maybe you're already there. Carefully roll to either side. Use the strength of your arms to come up to any comfortable seat, and you can sit back onto your folded blanket or towel if that feels best. Take a moment, palms up or down. Perhaps you close your eyes and just set an intention for your yoga off your mat, that you will celebrate doing it your way, and you will express your expertise in being you as often and as many places as you can. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me. We'll do it again together soon.